What's up, agency owners? Jason Swenk here, and I have another amazing guest for the podcast so you can grow your agency faster. We're going to talk about building relationships and creating a collaborative culture within your agency so you can scale faster. So let's go ahead and get into the show. Hey, Brian, welcome to the show.
Hey, how are you?
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on. So, this is your first podcast. I'm honored you picked me to be your first podcast. But for the people that have not heard of you yet, tell us who you are and what do you do?
Yes, Brian Cosgrove. I'm owner of Braindew, um, interactive consulting, and we do a lot of work across the board, focusing in analytics, development, and different areas of digital marketing.
Great. And so, how did you get started?
Um, Interesting story. I was in aerospace engineering, and I was looking for as some side money during the holiday season, and I applied for a warehouse job and found out I wasn't the best at doing packing boxes, but I was a bit overqualified. And the owner of the company asked if I could help out with some things related to their SEO program. Um, so I read a bunch of like white papers. I read a bunch of like academic papers on the people that were actually developing these engines, and try to figure out, okay, who's the talent, follow kind of the actual like how they did it, and then figure out what we should do, and came up with a plan and implemented it and started ranking top. And on my other career, I was like, okay, I can see where I'm going to be at in 10 years, and that's cool, but this is like amazing growth, and I'm able to have a huge impact, and I'm still in my early 20s. So I got into that, and that kind of got me to cross over into this digital marketing thing. Worked in that space for a little while, went to my first agency, Razorfish, and started off in SEO, and then had to fix analytics. Was there for about 3 years, and then went into another company, an Omnicom company, to help them build out their digital practice when they were doing all kind of like direct mail, TV, pretty much all traditional marketing. And went there with one of my colleagues from Razorfish, and then that went really well, and kind of grew that, and then struck out with a good friend of mine on our own in 2013. So
What made you want to leave? Since the
yeah,
one agency was going really well and you were leading that. What was that itch?
I already knew. Like I kind of knew since I was young that I wanted to kind of like start my own thing, or make my own thing. I always kind of had a sense of like, you know, we could do things a little bit differently. We could innovate a bit in how these services are provided, or culture. So for me, it was kind of like I liked doing what I was doing, but it was almost like a trap because it was keeping me away from what I really wanted to do, which is to kind of start something fresh. Yeah.
Gotcha. Awesome. And when you started the agency, how long did it take you to really kind of start bringing on and building a team?
Uh, so it was just myself and I had and my partner, for I guess February to November, and then we hired our first employee in November. And at that point, we figured out how to get benefits for them. We figured out how to do payroll. We made everything official, um, and we got all that squared away, and that made it a lot easier. And then we went after a kind of big contract to kind of do all many different digital channels, in uh, year two, and ended up hiring 8 more people that year, um, and that kind of allowed us to build out a lot of different services that we needed someone to run point on. So I'd say within a year and a half, we were at 10, um, from two.
That's great. So, what do you
Yeah.
think contributed to that growth? Like, how did you have that fast growth? Because a lot of people, for a couple of years, they're just kind of it's kind of them, their business partner, maybe a couple contractors.
It's an interesting thing. So while I was still working, before I even started, I really cared about the relationships with my clients, with my colleagues, with my management, with team members, with vendors. So I had a pretty big network at that point, and it was there's an interesting thing that happens when you kind of let people know, like, okay, I'm going out to do this on my own. People that you've built relationships with that care about you, they kind of want to figure out how to work with you. So it helped out tremendously just to, kind of lean into that. As soon as we left, the place that we were working at asked if we could do some contracting with them. And I was like, we can, but it's got to be at our contracting rate. We'll give you somewhat of a discount for a period of time, but this is how we have to work for our business. And we were able to end up converting our former employer into our client, which was based on the fact that we maintained good relationships. We also took a lot of care in transition work, backfilled our roles even sort of before we left. We left them in a good place to be like, okay, they're good. All of our big retainers are renewed. Our team, they're fully staffed. They can run without us. And then they still wanted the contract with us afterward. Other agencies reached out. They wanted to partner with us because they knew that just individually, myself and my business partner had some expertise in certain areas. And they said, hey, we need help there. Can you guys help us out? So we ended up building relationships with other agencies that were in the area. And then it was like someone who was a former client, as went to another agency, brought us in. I'd say a lot of it was kind of just relationships that got us off the ground. I think a big thing for us is we were kind of confident we could run a big program, like a enterprise program,
Mm-hmm.
early on. And so while we took on some smaller clients, we kind of just always positioned ourselves to be ready for that. Like we always kind of were like played that role, that we're ready to do enterprise work at a moment's notice. And we knew that that would get us a six-figure contract or something like that from a client, which again is sort of like a game changer when it comes to hiring employees and saying, I already kind of have your salary on contract. Like I can afford to pay you in the future without
Yeah,
worrying about
without
that.
worrying about it. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
there's so many lessons in there that I want to make sure people don't skip over. It's the one is you got to be really good at what you do. Like a lot of people are like, how do you create a successful agency that's growing? And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, you have to know how to do something better than most and to actually
Mhm.
get people results. like
Yeah.
that's rule number one. But I also
Yep.
like that you talked about building relationships and really not just going, what's in it for me? Like a lot of our mastermind members, they do this amazing where they're like, look, I don't have any problem today. I just wanted to show up and help you, like help
Hmm.
other members,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then when they do need help, everyone will get here's the shirt off my back. Here it
Yeah.
is. And it's not
Love that.
like I'll do this for you if you do this. Like we get, all those slimy emails that you get, like, oh, you have my audience. Can you just blast this out?
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of that going on. Um, Honestly, it's building a tighter circle with people that you don't have to, there's no fakeness to it. There's no, there's a lot less agenda. It's sort of like, let's all rise together. Um, to me has always been important.
Yeah, iron sharpens iron, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
And I also, really care about doing good work to that point. And so I think that was another thing, was that we were kind of committed to making sure we did great work no matter what. It wasn't like a maybe we'll do well, maybe we won't. It was like we're going to do great work no matter what because of that relationship. I
Yeah,
don't want to leave a client in a worse place. I I refuse to do that. And
yeah,
that was just sort of a, an important lesson, I think.
and I
An
think a lot
important, I guess,
a
principle.
lot of people forget that. right? That, we kind of ring the bell or the gong, ring the gong when you sell a deal. And you're like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's good for you. But, the client is already thinking like having buyer's remorse. Like you should
Right.
be thinking about,
Yeah.
like I was chatting with Darby, our agency scale specialist yesterday, and he's been bringing on a lot of really amazing members. And he's like, look, I'm so invested because I want them to have the best experience because it's my word
Yeah.
of what they went on. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's why we get along so well. Like we will
Yeah.
do anything, to move people along rather than like, yeah, you gave us money. Yeah, good luck. Like,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the way that I've seen it. So usually when we take on a contract, there's the occasionally if it's a smaller company, we might be dealing with the owner or super executives. But usually when it comes to day to day, we're dealing with a manager that they have on their end that's managing the relationship with us.
mm-hmm.
And I've always told my team, and this has kind of been a guiding principle is I want to see that person be in a position to get promoted. Like just for working with us, they're doing so well that they're now getting promoted. They're fully engaged. They love what they're doing, and they're helping, break down barriers within their organization to provide value. But as like on top of that, I want to, the way that I say it, especially in the bigger organizations, is I need everybody on my team to say everything that we do has to provide value. Obviously, like it provides value to Braindew that we're doing this work, we're billing for it, and that works out. And ultimately, it should be contributing to our culture. But after that, the client, that first person, that first line of contact, the person on the front lines, make sure that we're doing everything we can to help them. Make sure that what we're doing not only helps them, but helps them help their team. Make sure what we're doing not only helps them and helps their team, but helps their whole company and organization. And make sure all of that ends up helping their end customer. It's like if you can follow that thread all the way through and there's no conflict anywhere along the way, let's proceed, let's move forward with this project and give it everything you've got. There's a conflict on the way. Maybe that's a project we don't want to take on. Maybe there's a different reason that maybe we want to propose something else. But if you can't follow that all the way along the way, then you can't have confidence that what you're doing is going to make is going to provide value. Another thing I think that was important for us is, and this came up after working in other agencies, was, I remember a gentleman said to me, he said, look, I want to be able to, be proud of what, who I see when I look in the mirror. I want to be able to be proud to tell my kids, the clients and the projects that I work on. And so another thing that we took on very early on was like to be picky. And so it's picky, not just on the clients and the projects we work on. We want to do things that provide value to the world, but we also care about kind of like, are we providing value to that organization? And so the how is just as important as like specifically what we're doing.
Yeah, I
And I
think
would
that.
say following that through, team members put a lot more energy into it.
Oh
They give
yeah.
it their all.
Well,
Clients
the thing too is
want to
like,
find a way to work with us. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think the big part of why you guys have grown so fast too is you have belief in your team and you, like, and you said that, like, we knew right away we could take on enterprise clients,
Yeah.
right? There's so many
Yeah.
of us that didn't start that way, right? We didn't start with a big agency like a Razorfish or go to
Yeah.
Omniacom. Like
Yeah.
me, I was accidental. Like I didn't even know. Like I remember, I joke with people. I'm like, my first client asked me for an invoice. I didn't even know what an invoice was. I didn't know all these terminologies, and
Yeah.
so for many years, I had kind of that imposter syndrome. Like
Mhm. Yeah.
I could do a website, but I can't do anything else. And so it takes a lot. I see a lot of people that way. So I just want everybody listening, even if you have that. And look, I even feel like the imposter syndrome too. And I've been in the agency space since '98, and so you got to kind of go, look, I'm really good at this, and I can dominate this part, and go do it,
Yeah.
and build relationships like Brian has talked about. Because I know Brian, correct me if I'm wrong. If you make all your the managers and all those people rock stars, they get promoted. Where do they go? Other
Mhm.
companies, and then they
It's
bring you
it
along, don't they?
Yes, exactly. And so in fact, I just received an MSA for a sneaker brand I'm super into, like huge brands that I like already loved are now like our client base. And I feel like this morning, just from working hard with, some people while they worked in other companies before that. And so, um, the way that I see it is just, that's important. Like that should almost be the end goal. That should be the expectation. Like we're all kind of in our careers together. We're all sort of like at certain points and certain stages. Our clients should be going to other companies. And when they do, they should want to come and work with us. And we should be sort of a secret tool that they bring to the table,
Yeah,
is that bring that success along with them.
exactly.
Um, yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Well, this has all been amazing, Brian. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you think would benefit the audience listening in?
Um, I just want to touch briefly on the collaboration part. One thing that helped out was that a lot of our brainstorming sessions early on, and what helped us grow, is that this person was a graphic designer, this person is doing SEO, this person is in analytics, that person's doing paid media. We would do a lot of like collaborative work early on to say, kind of all hands on deck, like how do we solve this client's paid search need, and get ideas from a lot of different people, and kind of made sure that everybody on our team knew Google Analytics, knew kind of some of the mechanics of how the other channels worked. And that went a long way to them building relationships, them doing sort of cross channel collaboration, and them being able to offer solutions to clients that were kind of like a bit more thought through, a bit more holistic or integrated, and a bit more defensible maybe from different angles. So I would just say, like, if you have a few different disciplines, like make sure to figure out how those two go together to be better than if you only worked on just one discipline alone.
I love it. I love it. What's the website people can go and check your agency out?
Brain.do.
Awesome. Well, everyone go check that out. Thanks so much, Brian, for coming on the show. Lots of amazing stuff. And if you guys want to be around amazing agency owners and you believe in iron sharpens iron, where other agencies are sharing the strategies that are working for them and they're able to see the things you might not be able to see, I want to personally invite you all to go to digitalagencyelite.com. This is our exclusive mastermind just for experienced agency owners. We only take a few every couple months. So go there now, fill out an application, and maybe we'll chat if we feel it's right for you. So go to digitalagencyelite.com. And until next time, have a swank day.